Click it so more people can share.
Yeah, whatever.
I love you.
You don't want them. Yeah, sure don't care, do you?
Worship the God that knows us so well, knows us so well, and still He loves us. Still He loves us. Hallelujah. We just praise you right now, Jesus. Praise you, Jesus. You love us the way you do. We praise you, Jesus. We praise you, Jesus. We praise you, Jesus. Hallelujah. 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 Let's fill the sanctuary
All right,
with praises to our God.
We're having some challenges with our Facebook link tonight, but we're going to share. We're sharing our Friday night talk on YouTube, and it's going to be linked to our church's Facebook page. Let me apologize. I thought that things would just work tonight, but it's not. It's not as easy as I thought it was going to be. But good night, nonetheless. We're going to move forward in the name of Jesus. And I have with me tonight my brother in Christ. I love him with like cooked food. And even though he might not want me to say this, I think that I have witnessed every exciting twist and turn in his life from him coming to preach to me and saying, I'm going to get engaged today, all the way to, I haven't had a consistent preacher to preach for me for my anniversary every year, except for this brother, because two things: I like the excellency that he represents, and I like the fact that he keeps it for real, straight up, and gonna ask him to just introduce himself tonight. We know him at our church, but Dial, just share a little bit about yourself, and then we're gonna go from there.
All right. Well, it's a pleasure to be here with y'all. You know I love y'all. Thank you for reaching out to me and even allowing me to be a part of this. This is dope. I try to tune in when I can and catch you guys. You always got some really dope topics going on, and you know, at this time, I just think it's beautiful to have a pastor and friends like you guys who are about keeping it real, because I feel like that's the most important thing right now, that people get real, you know, information from real people who have a real relationship with God, and who isn't scared to, you know, divulge that, and regardless of what the backlash might be. But about me, I'm a reverend. I'm a detective with the New York City Police Department. Musician. What else? I'm a brother in Christ. You know what I'm saying? Got a beautiful wife, beautiful family. Been blessed to do a lot of, you know, things music-wise. I've been able to tour and do some things back in college and stuff like that. And now I'm simple now, low key. Just do, you know, just work. Yeah, man. Simple now. I keep it simple now. Lexus, my wife won't think so, but I keep it simple now. She's over there on the side, so, you know, I'm trying to keep her as far away from this computer as possible.
Why?
You know what I'm saying? So she don't, you know, come on, you know, she's there though. Trust me, she's right there watching me. Make sure I don't say or do anything out of line.
No, I wouldn't allow it. She knows I wouldn't allow it. That's my job. I'm the Peter in the bunch.
Yeah. No,
I can't have you acting up. That's my job. I get very jealous.
Yes.
I'm the active guy. I don't even know if I should say brother, because we're so close. Your grandfather, Dr. Moore, saved me when I was going to leave the Baptist denomination. He showed me extraordinary love. I was laughing. The only picture I forgot to add on the flyer was of you in the barbershop.
Oh.
Because I'm like, he got that thing from old man Moore. He cut me here.
Yeah. I'm trying. Listen, man, this quarantine, man, it has opened the door for us to pick up new skill sets and to try things and venture out. And you know, I didn't want to waste this opportunity to embark on something different. It started with me just cutting Austin's hair, and it turned into a therapeutic, a new form of therapy for me, man. It was just so peaceful and so calming. And then to see the end result and to see, you know what I'm saying, the smile and you know, you change somebody's life literally, because they could go from looking like what in the world to taking on the world. So that transition.
I'm not going to. I'm going to make an appointment, but I'm not ready yet.
Let me know.
I'm not ready yet. I'm trying to get my edges back, man.
Listen, I got the stuff, Denise. I got the stuff for that. I got the fibers.
No, you got the stuff for that. That's why I look so nice now. You should see it before I start using her stuff.
Oh, okay. Fibers. We'll get you. We got you. Don't worry.
We're gonna play your single in a little bit, but before we do that, I wanted to just ask you some questions. Now, Denise and I, we have done some shows about the sensitive topic of race and policing. I know that with all that's happening with the George Floyd situation, and you know, I'm not one to use the stereotype. I believe that in every aspect of life and career and everything, there's always exception to the rule. And and then there are times when what we perceive as the rule is not the rule. And I think that I wanted to ask you, I wanted to start off heavy. And my first question is, I really want you to describe your experience as being a young Black man in an NYPD uniform. This before the detective. Just describe the experience as being in the NYPD, young Black man in NYPD uniform.
Okay, because I'm glad you said, before the promotion, because it's two different experiences. As a police officer is one experience, and then as a detective is a whole nother ball game.
Mhm.
As a police officer, when I first got involved, I didn't really experience a lot of the things that older officers had experienced. I didn't really get hit with a lot of the racial tension that the department was known for having, because when I got on about 9 years ago, that's when a lot of the changes were being implemented, as far as policy and as far as structure and as far as acceptance of minorities being given higher positions to become chiefs and inspectors. And so at that point, there was a lot of movement within the department. So I didn't really experience a lot of the negative backlash that a lot of older officers experienced during those transitions. But I've heard stories. I was alerted to a lot of different stories that I couldn't believe at that time. I was like, what? That people really could be so evil and just vindictive and and just racially just, I couldn't believe that those things could exist within that department. But me personally, I wasn't exposed to it. I saw certain things that would make me wonder if a person was racist. I would have a certain supervisor here and there that would say something or say, that would make me question, but nothing that was outright done to me personally that would have me like, I know this is racial discrimination, or I know this is, because a lot of, like anything else, people guise it different. There's very few that are outright just like, this is what it is. Everybody, a lot of people now, they hide and mask it under different nuances. And it's just like, all right, you can't really pinpoint exactly what it is because they're just so skilled and crafty. That's why I have more respect for people who are just racist and they don't care, versus the people that are secretive and cloaked and hiding it, and it comes out in other ways, but they won't own it. That's cowardice, and I don't like cowards. So, if you're gonna be something, be it.
Yeah.
Something, say it. If that's how you feel, then let it be how you feel, and then defend it how you need to. But when you lie, and I have no respect for that. So I didn't really experience that, but I knew it existed before I got on. So I was prepared mentally to handle that.
What about amongst our own community?
Oh, now, funny enough, any experiences that I did have that was negative came from supervisors that looked like me. And what happens with that is, I think that there's sometimes a sense of trying to appeal to the others, to their white counterparts and their the other supervisors, that they have to kind of like prove, almost in a sense, that, hey, I'm not going to give any favoritism, or I'm not going to show. I've never seen anywhere where you could have people be promoted and people be esteemed and put on these different pedestals, but they're extremely fearful of utilizing their newfound powers and their newfound status to help people that I've never seen nothing like that. Any other ethnic group, when they get promoted and they get elevated, they don't hesitate to reach out and pull their people up higher and give positions and help. And it seems like sometimes, it's unfortunate, but it seems like in the African American community, when they get elevated, it's like, all right, I'm here, but don't hey, I'm just happy to be here, so don't ask me to help you, but just understand I'm happy to be here, and let me just do what I got to do so that you can continue to look at me shine. And it's like, but help us out, help us get somewhere like like bring us up. And so I don't even think it's because they don't want to help. I think it's just because they're fearful that if they do help, they'll get a different kind of attachment, and they'll be labeled a different kind of way that won't be favorable amongst other supervisors that they want to appeal to. So it's a very tricky, so a lot of my personal issues that I've had coming up the ranks was with supervisors that were African American, and they would, I got dogged, man, a little bit. I got dogged a little bit, and it's hard to not take that personal. It's hard to not take that personal when that this person can actually help you and make life easier for you, but yet they choose to do the opposite. It's hard to not take that home and then let that affect how you're dealing with your wife and your kids, because now you can't say what you want to the supervisor. You know what I'm saying? But when you come home and the kids are getting out of control, right, all of a sudden you big bad officer, sit down, everybody. Yeah. And it's not fair. It's just unfair. So you might have to do another live with Lex so she can talk about what it's like.
Don't worry.
Listen.
I'm getting ready to do one with just the sisters. I'm
ready to say a couple things right there. She's like,
come on. Listen, we ain't scared. You can make room. She can come in the conversation. Listen, one of the main reasons I asked you to come in tonight, I don't know if you remember, but in the height of this George Floyd incident, you rested heavy in my spirit. And those who are on from Little Rock, one of the things that I've always said to my church, I said, when God rests a person in your spirit, in your heart, reach out to them. And I don't know, but for a couple of days, I was like, I got to reach out to Dial. I was going to tease you and say, you wait till the pandemic, we can't go get them pancakes. We've been going to IHOP for about 4 years.
We're going to get there, man. We got to go.
And when I reached out to you that night, you said something that broke me. And when I said it broke me, because I was pretty hardline, I was mad with the whole George Floyd incident. But I called you and I said, how you doing, man? I think it might have been around your son's birthday or something, but you literally said something to me that shocked me. You said, man, I'm literally sitting in my car, and you were almost like trying to take off Detective Richardson to put on daddy husband. And you said, I'm literally trying to prepare myself to go inside and just kind of leave outside. And I'm gonna tell you the truth, that night, my prayer was, God, help us all to see beyond color, uniform, and realize that in this scenario, John Legend has this song, we're just ordinary people. Yeah. And when you said that to me that night, it kind of helped to channel my anger away from law enforcement and straight to evil. Because whether it's a dude that was voted into office or a dude that has on a uniform, I think that evil is just evil. And I wanted to ask you, how do you, as a family man, how do you balance this thing? How do you balance? You almost as bad as me now. You went from just Dial on the drums to Dial on the drums, Dial the minister of music, Dial the licentiate minister, Dial the ordained minister, reverend, Dial the undercover dude in the train station. I remember I had to hit you up one day, man, they got you on social media. We got to get this down.
You remember that, yeah.
Talk about how I call it the balancing act. Mm-hmm. How do you deal with this constant need to balance all these things? And tell Lexi don't say nothing.
Man, it's gonna sound generic, but God, bro. It's all God, bro. It ain't me, man. I'll be honest with you. I think if it wasn't for God, I would have lost my mind, literally. Like, people say that and they don't really know what they really saying. Mm-hmm. I'm literally serious that if it had not been for God, I would have lost my mind. I remember when I was in the process of getting promoted for detective, and I had to do pretty much like a year and a half interim where you have to kind of get, into the swing of working within a police detective squad, and you have to go through a process before they promote you. And during that process, you're basically on, you're auditioning and you're on trial. Like at any given time, they can send you back to patrol. You're not guaranteed to be promoted based on your evaluations and based on certain things. And so that was probably the most stressful time I've ever experienced on this job, as of yet, because you're learning a whole new investigative mindset. You have to kind of take your, it's good to have your patrol tactics and things that you learned on patrol, but this is a whole different ball game. Now you're not even, all the things you learned in patrol doesn't always necessarily translate in investigations. And so you have to take on a whole different approach on how you're doing the job. And during that transition, man, I had a lot of challenges, especially from a supervisory role. I had a lot of challenges and a lot of animosity that was just poured in at me. And it was a very, very difficult time. And Lex can tell you that there were times when I was just ready to like throw in the towel and go back to patrol and be like, forget it. I'm good. It's not worth it, and between God and her and people praying for me, I just stuck with it. And, obviously God allowed me to weather the storm and I got promoted and everything like that. But, from doing patrol and having to be out there in plain clothes, running into individuals that I knew from playing basketball in the neighborhood, from knowing other people who know other people who know other people, from preaching in churches, and people like, yo, ain't you the same? And people recognizing me from other, situations. And I think what helped me to kind of handle that a little easier was the fact that, I never did this job outside of who I am as a person. You know what I'm saying? I never changed to do the job, but I was always who I am, even in uniform. So like, I never was able to put on a different face when I'm working versus, so like you can come up to me, I'm approachable in uniform. I'm approachable in a suit and tie. I'm approachable in jeans and sneakers. I'm approachable no matter how, because that's just who I am. And I think sometimes what people do is when you have certain positions, you change or alter who you are so that you can kind of fit a narrative that you think goes with that position. But if it's not authentic and it's not really who you are, then you're putting on a facade. And at some point, the jig will be up. At some point, because, for example, you got guys who are officers who are not necessarily tough guys, so to speak. And when they put on that uniform and put on that badge and put on that gun, all of a sudden they transform into now thinking that, hey, I'm tough now. But then when you get into a situation, when you get placed in a certain area or you get into a certain interaction with an individual who is a tough guy, and you tell that person, yo, put your hands behind your back, and that dude is like, nah. Nah, you put my hands behind my back. Now all of a sudden, you get a reality check and you're like, wait a minute, he didn't listen to me. And I'm in uniform, I got my gun, but he didn't listen to me. Because they're not really prepared mentally to be challenged. Right. Because they some people assume that when I have this uniform on and I have that, Jersey Jones. But they feel like when I have that stuff, I'm empowered and people are going to listen to me. And so I've seen a lot of officers make that mistake and be challenged and not know how to handle that opposition. And then I also seen how my approach has always pretty much rewarded me a high success rate in people kind of doing what I'm asking them to do in compliance, because I don't come at you from that level of, yo, you're gonna do what I say because of who I am. No, I come with the level of, hey, listen, my man, do me a favor, man. I don't want the situation to get out of control. Right. Apparently you were caught doing something. I need you to do me a favor. I need you to put your hands behind your back, and we're gonna straighten it out. But In the meantime, just put your hands behind your back, put you in cuffs. We're going to bring you back to the precinct. We're going to sort it out, because I really don't want you to not do what I'm asking. And then it becomes a situation where more people are here, and then it blossoms into a big melee. We don't need that. So I think what has to happen is people have to operate within who they are. You know what I'm saying? And be yourself, and let that translate in what you do. And I think that's how I was able to manage and kind of deal with everything, because I deal with everything from the same perspective. God first, and then, you know, family and everything else comes into play. So God really is the reason why I'm good right now.
Well, I always say this, man, God can't bless who you pretend to be.
Mm.
And I think that's a great way for you to prove to others that don't let your profession become your personality, but take your personality to your profession. You know. Now here's a good one. I wanted to ask you this one now. This how do you explain to Pop Moore going to the NYPD? I always want to ask you that question. What was his reaction?
Well, listen, big bro, you got to remember, Pop was a military man.
So he was happy.
Pop was a military man. So Pop, you know, he was good. He was good. He kind of associated that to him going to the military. So it, you know, everything that I've done pretty much up to this point has kind of been a flashback for him, so to speak. All my forward progressions have been like flashbacks to him. You know, you can almost run our lives simultaneously. You know, from now I'm cutting hair, and he, you know, he's like, I used to be a barber and had a barbershop. You know, now he's actually, that last thing he told me was to look for locations. See,
wait,
look at
location for what?
I don't even have my barber's license, man.
Wait,
yeah, he's
he's
like,
trying to set you up for when you retire for the NYPD.
You know what it is? I think he just doesn't see any limits for me, man. He doesn't see any limits. Anything that maybe he wanted to do, he wants to do whatever he can to promote and push me in that, like, almost like I'm gonna live vicariously through you. You're going to make it to the other side. Like, you know, so it's almost like a Joshua, you know, kind of thing. Like, hey, you go over to the promised land and make it happen, man. But I'm gonna push you, and I'm gonna make sure that I guide you as best as possible and put you in the best position to be successful. So he was ecstatic, and I had his full support. But, you know, he knew that it would be some challenges, and he knew kind of what I was going to be getting myself into. And he really was insightful, man. He really helped me out a lot. We had some really good conversations in regards. So he had his full support, bro.
What can we do from the church all the way down to the corner? What can we do in our community to build a better relationship with law enforcement?
That's a great question. I think the relationships aren't as bad as it's being portrayed.
Okay.
You know, I spoke in a previous meeting, and I touched on the power of media and news organizations, and how the Black America within itself really believes and trusts the news coverage in their from a local standpoint and from a national standpoint. They really, and you know, there's been studies on it that the Black America really trusts and believes that the information that's being divulged to them through these channels are accurate. And so when you have a large population of people who believe what they see on media, it can really do damage from what the reality is in their community. Because, you know, more people are in their house watching the news than they're outside in their community seeing what's really going on.
Yeah.
You know, let's just be honest. You know, you have a huge population of people who don't go outside, but they will tell you everything that's happening in their neighborhood because they on every app and they watching every news channel. Oh, well, on Citizen it said this. Well, I just watched Channel 5 News and they said this. And I can tell you what's going on in the White House because they said this. And you've got people that live by that. And that's their only source of information. And so it's very challenging when you have a department who's out there trying to make changes, who's out there trying to, put away bad people, who's out there trying to make amends with the community, who's outraged from other incidents that happen in other parts of the country. And it's a very taxing position to be in when you're trying to play peacekeeper, but you're not getting the support from media. So, as for example, it was so shocking when the song "Love Will Win" got some support from the news media, because it was like, wow, you guys don't mind putting something positive. It's always like, really. But now I guarantee, if I was in, and this is unfortunate, but if I was in a shooting instead, the ratings would have been through the roof. Or if I was even talking about hate, and I was saying like, hey, officers, we need to start hating the people or something. The ratings would have been through the roof. I probably, it would have been out of control. But if I'm talking about love and trying to bridge the divide and bring some type of, some type of uniformity back through music and through understanding and through, it probably go as far as Facebook.
Yeah.
I was saying, a few shares, a few likes, which I appreciate from all my people. Thank you guys. But that's pretty much. It's very hard to get more support from a broader perspective, because love to a lot of people isn't fun. It's boring. It's not. They're like, okay, all right, it's about peace, but war is what people want to see.
So you get into our next question. Your single "Love Will Win." What led you to record it? Like, how did it all start?
Okay, so funny enough, it's not my song. All right. I try to make sure I always put that disclaimer out. That song is not my song. I didn't write the lyrics. I was blessed to be a part of the song, but it was written by my buddy Devery L. Pugh. And Devery L. Pugh is a masterful writer, a dope musician. This dude is solid. He plays at Love Fellowship in Brooklyn. But he's an awesome writer. He has several songs that he put out. But me and him met through a Black History program in which the NYPD Guardians Gospel Choir, which I'm a part of, we performed and sung. And that's how me and him connected, because it was hosted at Love Fellowship's church in Brooklyn. And so me and him eventually connected. We traded information and we spoke about music. And we said that one day we'll put something together, or we'll work on something together. He calls me randomly, maybe a month or two later, and he's like, "Yo, bro, listen, I got a song, man, and called Love Will Win, and I think you sound good on it, and I think you really give the song justice and this and third." And I'm like, "All right, great, man, that sounds cool." I didn't really know much about it until we got started working on it, and he gave me the lyrics, and we went in the studio and we did what we had to do. And then he told me that there was going to be other singers and other artists on the project. And I was like, okay, cool. So we had Terry Khan on that project, a young lady by the name of Steph Sinney on that project, actor / artist Jaquan Kelly is on that project. He does like the rap in the beginning of the song. And it came together pretty dope. And I was my goal at that time was like, all right, just focus on your part, nail your part, do the best you can, because you're on the song with other dope artists, and you just want to make sure you do your part to hold your weight. And so when I heard the finished product, man, and he was like, "Yo, you really nailed it. You really did a great job." He was like, "Yo, I want to push this, man. I want to push this to all the media channels, especially since you're on the job and you're in law enforcement and this and the third. I think it's a great time to push this message out of togetherness and love." And I was like, I'm here for it, brother. At that time, I'm just about something different, because I feel like, all these other channels is just providing a bunch of negative views, and it's easy to jump on that bandwagon. Like, who gonna do something different? So when this came out, and he was like, "Yo, let's push this," and then he pitched it to News One and got in touch with the young lady from News One, and she was like, "Oh, I like this. Yeah, we can interview. This is cool." And so it was just a real dope vibe. It was a dope energy around the whole project. And I'm grateful to him, you know, for allowing me to be a part of that. And we're still trying to get it to more channels. So, you know, in the future, please, if you can, man, we're still trying to get it everywhere. We're trying to put it on every news channel. We're trying to get it to everybody who would push a positive message at this time. You know, I did come against, though, funny enough, I did have some people that wasn't in favor of my interview. I did get some backlash, which is cool because I welcome everything. You know, like listen, I don't say much that I'm not willing to defend, and I'm not willing to, you know, that interview, I was in a very precarious situation because you still have to be mindful that you're giving your perspective, but you can't allow your perspective to be associated with the broad perspective of the department, because no, I'm speaking as me, you know what I'm saying? Not as NYPD, I'm speaking as me on, you know, I'm not speaking on behalf of NYPD. Even now, I'm not speaking on behalf of the department because all of their policies and views, I don't share. You know what I'm saying? That's not, I don't agree with every policy and I don't agree with every view. You know, there's things that, you know, what I love about the department is they still give you what's called discretion. And until they take that away, I will continue to do my job. The minute they take discretion away, I'm going to have to find a new line of employment. Why? Because discretion is what allows me to continue to be me in uniform.
Right.
You know, because people say all the time, well, how is it that, you know, you locking up all the black dudes and you're not locking up the white dudes and this and the third? And I'm like, that's not what's happening. That's what you're being told is what's happening because you watch the news, don't you? You're not there in the projects. You're not there in the buildings. You're not there in the subways. You're not there in the neighborhoods when we're interacting with these young brothers and with these young sisters. You're not there. So there's a lot of people who could come and get on this computer and say, yo, that dude right there, he could have locked me up and didn't. Yo, he told me, yo, you know, go home and cut it out and this and the third. And I listened and I went home. And he did not, you know, there was so many times where I remember my crime team that I was working with at the time in Crown Heights. We gave so many breaks that people couldn't believe that we were anti-crime because, you know, anti-crime guys come with a stigma that these guys are the guys that just lock you up. They don't, you know, they don't ask questions. They just taking you, you know, and that wasn't the case with the team that I was on. And I really believe God was the driving force of that team. I had an amazing sergeant at the time. I had an amazing team. And we worked like a well-oiled machine because we all had that level of discretion. And I wasn't the leader of the group, but you know, if I didn't feel comfortable with a certain stop and I spoke on it, the guys usually, you know, had my back and was like, all right, we'll leave this alone. You know, we had a real system that really worked for the community. And I think a lot of people could appreciate what we did during that time span that I worked in Crown Heights because, you know, although they had my picture later, you know, that Craig mentioned, even that picture was after an arrest was made for an individual who was really disorderly in the train station and we had to remove him. That picture was, you know, taken of me and my partner at the time, coming out the store, whatever the case is. But even those situations, we still did things with a level of respect. You know, we didn't disrespect guys, even if they were acting disrespectfully. We still, because we understood that, you know, when you're going to do this job, you have to understand that people are going to be opposed to you. People are not going to like you. People are not going to respect you, or people are going to disrespect you. And you have to know that you're bigger than that. And you have to uphold a bigger mentality. And you can't, you know what I'm saying, go to their level because you represent such a huge department. And anything you do can really cost you in the long run. You know, so when you know that, you got to let certain things go. He's cursing at you, man. You gonna let that slide? Yeah, I'm gonna let that slide. Because cursing can't hurt me.
It's funny that you mention it because I was born and raised in Marcy Projects. And I remember growing up with the housing police. Like we had our own housing police. And then even as I got older, we moved to the 79th precinct and they had a lot of youth programs for us. And we had a great relationship with our police officers, especially the youth police officers. Like, you know, they knew us, you know, you know, they helped us out. And it was kind of like when we started getting out of line or, you know, it was a little too carried away or they heard our name out there, it was like, yo, what you doing? You know better. Like, what's up? Come on. Like, you know, so they kind of helped. They were like another parent, so to say. like, to keep you in line and kind of keep you in check, So, my early relationship with police officers and the police department was positive. I didn't have a lot of interaction that others share. It was all positive for me. And I do want to get to your single, because, the single, Love Will Win, because I think it is really good. And we want everybody to kind of hear it and see what we're talking about, because I want to talk more about it after we view it.
Okay. No problem. Thank you.
We're gonna pull it up. We just don't want to. We don't want to show the wrong thing. I'm just making sure I have the right thing. She laughing because I'm scared. I don't want to pull up the wrong thing and get you and me in trouble. 1 second. I'm gonna pull it up. Let me just. I don't want to get myself in trouble here.
You're so sad.
All right. I think I got it now.
You got it.
Brother.
You can't see my humanity without you. My sadness ain't out the blue. I'm here to write a new story, something different from tragedy on the news. Met a man last week, he called me a king. Told me when I had kids, put away childish things. Now I'm in the same boat, I'm wading streams. But my people woke, still able to dream dreams. My little niece is royalty, she don't need a prince. Couldn't help but see the wisdom in her innocence. So I just counted all joy. Welcome God to my world. It's for all my brown boys and the little brown girls that get looked at and think they ain't enough. Darkness is a heavy weight, you cannot wait to love. We broke free from the chains and formed a real lane. The sun will rise in the morning, the birds will still sing.
At the core of us, we are not that different, Life is fluid, we're all subject to its ebbs and flows. All without biases or preconceived views. We are taught to see color, shades, and hues. So accept me for my friend. See my humanity. Open your eyes and your heart. Let love lead the way and change be the spark. Love will win. Every time we're destroyed. So won't you shine your light for the world to see. You lives in you. Politics and religion divide. We draw a line in the sand, we vote a party. We pick a side. Right or left, pro-life, pro-choice. It really shouldn't matter. Everyone should have a voice. So let's not be set me free. Sing your humanity. Open your eyes and your heart. Let love lead the way. Change be responsive. One love, one life. One blood, one love. My life matters, your life matters, Black lives matter. Your life matters, my life matters, Black lives matter. It will change the way you see me. Shades and hues, points of view. It's up to you. We still can win. The beauty that lives in you lives in me.
Man, this is
We hired the hotel man, so you can
see,
save.
see what happened when you don't know what you're doing? So Dia, let me say this, man. First of all, it's great for us to hear positive music, positive message, positive lyrics, something we can dance to, something we can
Good.
sing along to. Denise gonna laugh because she think I can't dance. She just don't know.
He can't dance.
I can't dance to WAP. I know that.
Listen,
Anyway, so Daya, my next question. So when you listen to that song and you hear about Love Will Win, it talks about letting your light shine for others to see. So do you feel as a fellow NYPD officer, detective, that you need to hold your colleagues accountable for their actions, whether it be right or wrong?
Absolutely, absolutely. And I think there's no safer space than now to do so. I think for a long time, in previous times, before I was even on this job, there was a such thing as a wall, a blue wall. And I think since I've been on this job, I've watched that wall collapse and come down tremendously. A lot of it had to do with policy changes, and a lot of it had to do with people pretty much just being tired of the same old, these guys can go and do whatever they want and just exit out, stage left with no accountability. And so in a lot of ways, I'm in agreement with a lot of the changes that have been made departmentally, especially where they're holding more people accountable. See, one thing I'll say, and I'll say this in any arena, this is the time for good cops to be excited, because what's happening around the world is there's been a complete upheaval of negative, old way of thinking officers who are just resigning and leaving the job because they can't get away with some of the things that they used to. And so this is a time for good officers to be excited, to be happy, not just because of the changes that are being made, but because they no longer have to make, have to speak on behalf of negative officers who don't do this job with the right kind of respect and the right kind of integrity. Now, people will really be able to see the difference in the department and see exactly how good of a department they really have, but you got to get the bad bunches out. And so what's been happening is with the changes, with the promotions of more African American and Hispanic officers to higher positions within the department, now you get a real multiculturally diverse department who really can connect with the people in ways that they couldn't before, because it's very difficult to have a certain level of crime happening in an African American community, and then all you see is white guys and come down in their suits and ties and their their statuses and their brass and this and third, and they're trying to tell you what's needed in that community, but they can't necessarily associate, or they can't necessarily relate. And so it's very difficult to trust that they're going to know exactly what's needed in your community, because it's coming from a source where you might not think they can understand it, or that you don't even think they care. And even though that might not be the case, because you have a lot of great white officers and have a lot of great white counterparts that do this job with just as much love and just as much integrity as anyone else. But unfortunately, because of the stigma and because of media and because of different avenues that don't show them in the right light, you would never give them that understanding, because it's just like, nah, we don't see y'all that way. Why y'all even here? But you don't know their heart. You know, I've met some amazing officers and captains and chiefs and everything who have a heart for the people, not just white people, but for the people, Black people, Chinese people. I mean, you go across the board, they are on this job, they are in these uniforms, and the media does not portray them in the proper light. And so then the community doesn't see that. And so they don't know what to believe, because they're being swayed and influenced by whatever the media is projecting. And so it's very challenging, you know, but I still believe love will win. I still believe that, you know, those that do this thing the right way will see some form of victory in some sense. And I'm starting to see that because I'm seeing the tides turn, and I'm seeing, you know, the promotions happening where we're getting, we have our first African-American chief of detectives right now, who's my chief, Chief Harrison, Rodney Harrison. And so that seat never before was, you know, sat by an African-American person, let alone this young brother who is doing a phenomenal job. Now our community affairs department is being run by another Chief Madry, Jeff Madry. And so these brothers are moving up. These sisters are moving up. We now have our first, I think she's the first African-American woman chief of Brooklyn North. And so, I mean, so we're seeing the ascension of African-Americans, we're seeing the ascension of minorities all abroad, you know, and NYPD, which is the biggest police department in the world, is leading the charge with that. And so this is a great time to be an officer. This is a great time to trust the process, that doing this job the right way will reap the benefits and the rewards that's needed. It was a rocky start, but I'm very happy where we are now and where we're headed. And you know, I take pride in that, because I know that I've been a part of the changes in a positive way, and nobody can take that from me. I don't care what they try to say. Oh, but you in that uniform, you know what it represents. Nah, I know who I represent. I know what I do in this uniform. I know the interactions I have in this uniform. I'm responsible for me. I'm responsible for how I portray this badge and what I do with it. You know, I'm not gonna accept other people who, you can't put that off on me. I'm not taking that. Oh, but y'all do. No, y'all don't. They did, not me. You know, and you have to make that distinction. You have to let it be known that I am not them, they are not me, and get to know me, you know, and you'll see.
And love will win.
And love will win. Thank you, sis.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And we shared in a couple of lives back, maybe about a month ago, one of the most positive pictures that I've seen portrayed of NYPD. There were two officers, and one officer actually had his knee on the back of someone's neck. And I saw the other officer go over and pick up his knee and place it on another part of his back. To me, that spoke volumes. And that's why I asked about accountability, because I think, and not just in your profession, across the board, we see things that are not necessarily correct, and we don't want to speak against it or do anything about it, and we kind of let it passively happen. And I feel in instances like that, we can be held just as much as accountable as the individual doing it. So I think that was such a positive image. And I commend you because you are doing an amazing job. You are someone that if I had little sons, I would say this is a perfect role model for you. But I just want to take the time out, because so often we give NYPD a bad rap, and we don't stop to tell the ones that are doing a good job and that are looking out for our benefits, thank you. So I'm taking the opportunity to say thank you. We appreciate you. Thank you for doing what you do.
Thank you.
I don't want to thank you. I want to thank your wife for making. I want to thank her, and I hope you got that boy something other than them leftovers last night.
Listen. They getting out of control, Doc.
I want to thank her for holding it down, because I believe that it takes a special anointing
Mhm.
to deal with the kind of things that you guys deal with. And for her, she's like the quiet hero, because when we get off of this,
Yeah.
when you leave that precinct, when you get called everything but a child of God, you
Mhm.
got to come home, and she has to make sure that you know you're still who God say you are. And so I appreciate the fact that she offers you that kind of balance.
And let's not forget,
And
she has to worry if her husband is going to make it through that
Right,
door because
right.
of the kind of job that
right,
he has.
right,
You know, so
So,
that
yeah.
takes a whole different. Don't worry, Lex. I know you're not on right now, but we're gonna have our moment.
I hear you, Nisi.
She's a superhero. She's a superhero.
I really thank you, man, and I thank you. And then I see that you are taking a more progressive role with the church now, and
Yeah.
I thank you for that. I love to watch you and Dr. Moore. I love to watch the two of y'all in the house with you and the piano. That's my favorite.
Listen, man.
Y'all be having church like nobody else in the world is there.
I be trying to tell him, like, let's play a repeat. And
No. You
I
can't.
be like, let's play. Listen, man, all the big preachers do that. They play
No,
repeat.
no. That's the problem. That's the problem.
If we can't be at the church, some Sundays, I just want to be with the family. You
Yeah,
know,
he-
let's play a repeat so we can just chill with the family.
Yeah,
Some
he
Sundays,
told me.
what?
Some Sundays, if we can do a repeat and just spend time with our family. See, listen, here's
He
one thing.
said,
Be ready, big bro. Because look, if pastoring comes from me, this is what's gonna happen.
remember this though. Remember this.
Uh-huh.
We are being forced, and I'm saying forced.
Mm.
We're being forced to take the church out of a time warp that it has been stuck in since the 70s. Now, when Denise and I went on vacation, I did something I never did before. I preached in the church by myself, recorded the sermon, and uploaded it on a Sunday. Now, here's the part that was shocking. I had to preach the same sermon 3 times. Every time I got to the end, somebody came and rang the doorbell and came in the church. I literally had to put a sign on the door, taping, do not enter. But seriously,
Yeah.
that time will come.
Yeah.
And I think that you're doing a great job of helping him to move to another level of
Yeah.
ministry. I know it's not easy, but thank God, thank God, thank God. And like you said, love will win.
Love will win, bro.
And I have already vowed that from effective immediately on, I'm preaching 1 sermon a Sunday. So if I got to go out, absolutely, if I got to go out 3 o'clock, we just going to all go at 3 o'clock, because here's what I found out. I found out that the church doesn't need more. What the church really needs is just for us to realize that with all the preaching we done heard, now is the time for us to just live these sermons.
Now we got to do it. We got to do.
Phrases.
We got to do.
To work smarter, not harder.
That's right. That's
Yeah.
right.
And look at these channels that we get now. You know, now everybody has a church in their living room, literally.
Listen, we all mega pastors right now.
This is mega church ministry right here, man.
Everybody's mega. And I appreciate it, man, because again, I had some technical challenges, but I wanted to get your message out. I'm going to send this, Love Will Win. I'm going to send this out. I got pastors across the country. I'm going to send this out. We need to get this word out. And like you said, unfortunately in our culture, what sells is negativity, but we believe love will win.
Amen. Listen, I'm grateful. Thank you guys for even, this opportunity. I thank my wife. I thank her. Baby, come on, run over here. I want to thank her real quick because her support is everything, and that's how I win. That's how I'm winning. You know what I'm saying? So
She just snuck in there like Yeah, I'm not ready for the camera. Why are you calling me?
One seat.
She didn't have to run. But yeah, you know, so grateful for the support and the love and all.
That's what I'm talking about.
Look. Now you know if you call one, look what happened.
He like, y'all can't do this without me.
And then it goes on. Come on, Aaron. Look.
Look.
With Aaron.
Done started. But
That's
you
the ball.
know,
Hey!
so this is how I keep going. That's my motivation and how and why I have to do it the right way. You know?
Appreciate it, man. Appreciate it.
You know,
Thank you so much, man, for sharing some time with us. We
Yeah.
pray for you. We praying for the success of this project.
Thank
And
you.
not only that, man, but you know, I really want to just say this to you, man. Keep yourself open.
All right.
Remain open. Remain open. Anybody who willingly goes into something, God didn't call them to do it. There's gonna be sometimes you be like, I had that moment today where I was literally saying, God, maybe it's time for me to leave this alone.
Mm.
But the thing about it is this, you're touching a lot of people and you're having a positive impact. And we're gonna continue to push this project. Love will win.
Yes, sir.
And I want to thank you for sharing with us. And we're gonna do something for I want to do something for the support system of first responders. And tell you what, look out, I'm gonna be reaching out real soon.
I got you, Lexi. Don't worry.
All right. Yeah.
One way or another, we're gonna have these pancakes. If we gotta make them ourselves.
We're gonna do this, bro. We got it. There's no excuses, man. We gotta do this. I love you guys. Listen.
Love you, man.
Thank you.
Take this opportunity. God bless.
All right.
All right, good talk, man.
Take care.
All right.
Mhm.